Hello everyone. It's the 5th of March 2020 and I am Agnieszka Justitia, the first of Honestia, the Noble Queen, the guardianess of truth and justice, the protectress of the pure value. I think it's time for the new presentation. The Noble Queendom of Honestia has been presented in 2019. Then I could not make any recordings, and finally I have found a way. So here I am with the new presentation. I try not to repeat the things I have already said, so the previous recordings on Honestia, which are available in YouTube, but also here on Twitter, are still valid. Still, there are some things that I need to update you on. So, this is not a royal speech, this is a presentation and it's not written down, rather spontaneous. I have around 30 minutes. So let's start. Let's start with the current state of Honestia, so to say. Because Honestia is richer now. For the close of 2019, I reviewed my queendom and I decided that it should grow a bit. So we still have the three counties: Agnipolis, with the royal capital city Agnipolis, Helionia and Serbia. And in Helionia we still have Solia and Litven. But in Serbia we have two new cities or towns, perhaps towns. I believe towns suit the Noble Queendom of Honestia better. So the first one was Woodborough, and now we also have Nestia and Laboris. In Agnipolis, there's the Honestian Academy, the 8 faculties. Within the academy there's Rhythm, the Flower Club, and the academy, when times gets really tough, becomes the traditional university. So the academy is rather interactive. I see someone publishing something, I read it or listen to it, and I feel like responding, and I respond from the academy. The traditional university is focused on study. Perhaps I may write something, but and it might even go into publishing, but that is more focused on what I'm working on currently. Then, also in Agnipolis, we have the Order of Chastity. And from the Order of Chastity, the main guidelines and values have been discussed in my other recordings. So the purities, pure intention, etc. Well, but perhaps not discussed in detail, but maybe for the sake of clarity I should say it again. Pure intention, pure thought, pure conduct, pure life, pure love, and nature, which is understood as living in harmony with the universe steering the planet Earth. Of course, it is virginal. From the very beginning, Honestia has been virginal. Because I'm a virgin, obviously. So, we have new developments. Each are born in the order of chastity. Because this is the order I assume for my relations with whatever life. And obviously it starts with the spiritual world. That's the Church of Honestia now. This is the virginal church. The Church of Honestia differs from other churches in its going against, let's put it scientifically, the former religious paradigm. There have never been any hostile intentions in my queendom. It was a peace offer. However, it was rejected, so obviously there have come into being some wars. The wars waged against me and not waged by me. Still, this is the basic spiritual life, the spiritual, not life too, but the basic spiritual right that we can travel our own ways. And the Church of Honestia is what I believe totally necessary under the circumstances of current life. The virginal church that cherishes the ancient Artemis as it cherishes the Virgin Mary. The Virgin is archetypical, and this is a spiritual being. I believe that only the people who have never been virgins or who had been virgins a long time ago cannot understand it. This is a special quality, and it cannot be tainted or messed up with anything else. Then the Order of Godbergians. Well, that one is Christian. And it also was born out of a conflict. It's partly emotional, but partly intellectual and spiritual too. First and foremost spiritual, and it has to do with the approach to the presence of Jesus. So obviously Godbergians focus on life and teachings rather than death. There are some problems involved, like the problem of the Eucharist. And originally it was meant to be within the order of the Vatican. I even thought of designing the order and getting it registered one day. Of course, I was thinking of it in terms of decades. Because this is not like, oh, I've got an idea and now, dear Pope, could you possibly give me your consent? So this is not how it works. We are dealing with, well, right now, millennia. So, obviously, I'm in a total opposition to the pace of life superimposed on us. We have been deprived of the freedom to live our lives and let things come when it's time to come, when it's time for them to come. Right now I'm on the position of disorder being my own creation, independently. I want to go through what I can find and somehow remain connected to God, because I have suspicions concerning all sorts of dealings by the Roman Catholic Church, and this is an allegation that I forward not only against the current rule, but I believe it must have been happening since the very start. And I also question the foundation of the Church. What should be understood is that questioning something does not imply a war. So this is the other side that turns whatsoever questions or doubts into war. This is not the Honestia way. And then there's the Honestian way of life, of light, life, the Honestian way of life. And apart from including the major religions, Judaism, going into Christianity and Islam, there's the thinking of the three belonging together in Honestia. And the books, the sacred books of the three, should be studied by all. This is my attitude to it. I shall see what will come out of it. So first we have Judaism, Christianity and Islam. And then we have a different spiritual realm, but also with the origin in God, obviously, because we do believe that all comes from God, don't we? And then this is Hinduism and Buddhism. And obviously, at least to my intuition, there is this analogous phenomenon between Judaism being followed by Christianity and Hinduism being followed by Buddhism. So these are the big five, and I also give the door open for the ancient religions to be treated as religions, that is the spiritual realms, and other realms, other spiritual realms that we are not that aware of and that we do not acknowledge. By no means should it be confused with whatsoever New Ageism or whatever cult thinking. For the obvious reason, all religions that it is my purpose to unite in the unity of spirituality as the first and most important quality of the life, I view traditionally. So if you are in faith, then there's no danger coming from your studying other religion or your knowing other people, unless they want a war. So there are ill intentions, obviously, but this is not the Honestian way either. Apart from the big five and possible openings for other spiritual worlds. There is the thinking in terms of innocences, and they have to do with the symbol, the flowers, the forget-me-nots. Perhaps these are not typical forget-me-nots, but the forget-me-nots come from the forget-me-nots that were growing near the door to a building, to a house that had the figure of Virgin Mary. And this is how I connect. So each petal and each bit of green between the petals, which I'm not sure exists in the real forget-me-nots, but does exist in my symbol, can stand for an innocence. So this is the update on the order of chastity. There's another development of the order that's in the Temple of Truth. That's in Nestia, the new town. There's the Temple of Truth in Nestia. Obviously, truth is one of those key characteristics of the Noble Queendom. Then in Agnipolis too, there's the Honestian library, my pride. Oh, actually there are two temples. There's the temple in Nestia and there's a temple in Agnipolis too, excuse me. This is the Honestian temple and it's an oasis, so this is the temple of the Living Virgin, which corresponds to the Church of Honestia. Yes, the church is something different from the in this thinking, something different from the sacred place, which is the temple. Then there's the Honestian library, my pride, and there's the royal office in Agnipolis, which is responsible, among other things, for royal publications. The royal office is responsible for public relations. There's the castle, and in the castle there's the book of Honestia. So the manuscripts be produced. They are not in the physical form yet, but obviously they already exist in the spiritual world. The reading corner, the philosopher's corner, the writer's desk, and the Honestian table. So the castle should be protected. Sadly, Honestia is not. There's the paradox of the queendom being really powerful in the spiritual sense. However, quite helpless when attacked. Helionia. In Solia there's Solianum and Lunarium, so this is a think tank and an observatory. And I shall not elaborate on it now. I believe I have elaborated on it elsewhere. And there's Lithen with Vitalinarium, which is like a Noah's Ark, only it includes also plants, stones, soils, air, etc. So this is the Earth's bio and geolife. And it also does not exist in the physical form yet. And there are Honestian gardens. So this is the new development. And they also do not exist in the physical form. Selvia, Woodborough, Nestia, and Laboris. In Woodborough there's the Honestian school, corresponding to the work of the Honestian Academy. There's the Royal Retreat and the Royal Heritage Palace. So this is responsible for the monarchic in Honestia. Obviously, the Honestian monarchy, that is me, and whatever voices you hear is still Agnieszka Justitia, the first of Honestia, originally born as Agnieszka Rojek, the daughter of Barbara, the daughter of Jadwiga, and Bronisław Rojek, born on the 27th of September 1974 in Krakow. But this is also about monarchies as we know them. And of course there's also the heed to what might be received as a signal of life from the outer space. Those who attend the Honestian school are called Woodborians. Nestia. In Nestia there's the Temple of Truth, the Honestian Court of Law, Fanimity, the Honestian Children's Playing Place. The Honestian Court of Law differs from what we normally think of when we think of the courts of law. For instance, a typical case would be the French Revolution. Now we have enough perspective to evaluate it really. As for the Honestian Children's Playing Place, the children coming here to learn and play, are called Fanimites. This is free from all digitalization, and it is a valid point. Laboris, the Bank of Honesty. So it's already in existence, however there are no specifics here. Certainly it will not be what has been so far, and obviously the defining quality is honest. Perhaps I could read the history of the Noble Queendom of Agnipolis now, but I'm not sure I have time for it. So what can I do now? Well, perhaps I could name the main Honestian projects this year. So the key areas of academic work for the Noble Queendom of Agnipolis 2020 are reading literature, the Honestian approach, and that belongs to the Faculty of Fine Literature and Arts. The spiritual history of humankind, and that belongs to the Faculty of Histories. New Romanticism, the Faculty of Fine Literature and Arts, the Honestian way of life, the order of chastity, the non-fall and spread of communism, the Faculty of Histories, great cultural projects, the Faculty of Superb Education. So I can discuss these in detail later on in some other recording, but let me just make a few points. Reading literature, the Honestian approach. So this is a further development. Funnily enough, it looks like a step backwards, because before it was teaching literature, and of course it goes to my original idea for my MA thesis that I was to write as a completion requirement at the Jagiellonian University, the English philology. So this is the previous millennium, actually. And I decided to focus on reading literature before I moved to teaching literature. The spiritual history of humankind, in short, has to do with my perception of history and life in general. New Romanticism, one of the typical publications, royal publications, though quite an informal one, is the one on New Romanticism I made yesterday. I think it was yesterday. So you can listen to it. It's in this new series of recordings. What's important is that New Romanticism has both the spirit of the original Romanticism, but also a departure from it. So do not think of it in terms of what was then, because it's different. That's why it's called new. The Honestian way of life. Well, yesterday I started recordings which are to be a series of sermons focused on a close reading of the Holy Bible, but I'm planning to travel further. So for instance, the next recording will be the beginnings, the creation of the world, and I want to have a look at other stories of the beginnings too. The non-fall and spread of communism. I have heard some people thought that this is what I'm going to work on, actually, in the sense of spreading communism. Of course I'm not a communist, I'm an individualist. So this is from the historical point of view, and it's very important for me that we know where we are historically. I believe politicians remain unaware of it, or perhaps they cannot face the failure, because it truly is a failure on the part of the politicians. And great cultural projects, as usual, it starts with Tibet. I remain faithful. So that would be all from me now. Agnieszka Justicia, the first of Honestia. Thank you.